We go ahead and get started.
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay?
That's good.
Everyone? Okay. Well, welcome everybody. It's nice to see all of you or hear all of you. I know it's tough to find a good time for everyone to meet, both semester-wise and um, time zone-wise. So thanks for everyone for making the effort. And we have an interesting agenda for today. And since we're an informal group, I encourage everyone to speak up with other topics or questions as you have them. I think everyone most will know each other, but if you're new to the group or if you want to post anything about yourself or your interests in the chat, feel free to do that. And with that, we'll turn it over. I think first up is Christina with an update on latest version of Mahara.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you, Keith, for doing the magic in the background, being
Yeah.
our infrastructure and logistics person. Um, so what I just wanted to do very briefly today is talk a little bit about the new features of Mahara 1604 and give you the opportunity to ask questions or make comments on what you think of some of that functionality that we have there. So we did still release Mahara 1604 at the end of April, so that's why it's still called 1604. It was very close this time because it was a very busy time, also with a with an urgent security update right before then. But it is out now, and we are really happy about this release. Although it is very small, I think it is a very important one because it does take us further into the further towards being even more mobile friendly than just having a responsive theme, as you will see in a little bit. Now that we have released Mahara 1604, it also means that Mahara 1.10 is out of support. So the currently officially supported versions are Mahara 1504, 1510, and 1604. And the support for Mahara 1504 and 1604 both runs out in October next year, whereas the one for Mahara 1510 is going to run out in April. So if you're in any of those versions, you are still very good for quite some time. And but can already think about moving to 1604 if that were not in the cards for you immediately, or if you are just thinking whether to stay on an older version or not. One of the biggest changes we've made, thanks to the Zurich University of Applied Sciences, is that we are now Flash without Flash, as I call it. We are still fancy, but we don't rely on Adobe Flash anymore for displaying videos. We still have a tiny bit of Flash code in Mahara that is for the copy button for the secret URLs, but we are definitely keeping our eye on replacing that as well. Currently, it is not possible because Safari does not support a non-Flash version, and therefore we are just holding out a little bit. But what does this mean for you? Well, if you kind of look at a Mahara page that you already created and have videos in them, it does not change anything for you. You do not have to convert anything or so. All we did was replace the media player that displays your videos or your audios that you can embed directly into Mahara from your internal storage. And so the supported formats for that HTML5 player are MP4, MP3, OGA, and OGB. So MP4 and OGB are video formats. The latter one is an open source one, and MP3 and OGA are audio formats. And by using any of these formats, you can easily use the built-in player and WebM other formats require that a player is installed on the students' or faculty's computer so that they can display videos. The best compatibility with mobile devices is by using MP4 and MP3, because then also iPads and Android and other mobile apps and devices can display those formats, can work with them, and have all those available. The other thing we did by making a change to the HTML5 player is also that we got rid of the dimensions on the video, the default dimensions, which allows us to scale the video to the width of the block and also scale it properly when the size is reduced when you go to a mobile device. So that's one of the bigger changes and an important one, because up to now it was not possible to play any internal videos on a mobile device simply because we depended on Flash, and now that has been rectified. Another nice improvement that we've made, I find, is the easier tagging functionality. So in the past you always had, if you had a lot of tags, you saw this long list of tags and had to go through them, but now we are using the select to functionality like we have elsewhere in Mahara already. Namely, when you search for people wanting to send them a message, and also for tagged journal entries in that block, we already use that functionality, so it made a lot of sense to also use it for tags in general. So all you need to do now is start typing a letter or a word, and then the suggestions come up, and if there's no word for that yet, it will be added to your tags. We've also implemented the, oops, sorry, that's the wrong one. We also implemented the Open Badges Displayer plugin that Descendum OI had created. And that allows you now, without having to install a plugin to display any of your badges that come from the Mozilla Backpack and also from the Open Badge Passport. So it is entirely up to you where you want to store your badges. Even if you choose another backpack, for example, if your university or school set up their own backpack, then you could configure it to be displayed as well. That's a server configuration, but many more backpacks can be added to it. And so any badges earned in your LMS or elsewhere can now easily be displayed just in Core Mahara. We also expanded our notification system, because in the past we did not get any notification when somebody wrote something on a wall, but now that is also being sent by email thanks to Switch in Switzerland. So again, furthering the engagement of people when they leave messages, making it easier for you to see them. And we've also changed our ratings, so comment rating systems. In the past, you only had the star available, and it had to be a five-star rating at maximum. Now you can choose between 1 and 12 stars, or you can even form the star into a heart, a thumb, or a check mark. And you can also choose the colors that you want to use for them. It's not like that a student or a teacher can choose which icon to use. It's still one icon for all, but at least you do have some flexibility as site administrator to decide what fits best into your environment and what you want to make your users available. If I remember correctly, a number of you do use the Embedly plugin to allow students to embed from many different resources online. Because while we have the allowed iframe sources available, that always requires a site administrator to allow a specific site through. Whereas if a site that has an embed code is enabled through Embedly, or Embedly provides its Embedly embed code for it, then the students can easily enter that and work with it. So making or giving more possibilities for embedding external content. And if you remember, in Mahara 15.10, we implemented the journals on all levels in Mahara, so that you now also have group journals, site journals, and institution journals besides individual journals. And so in this release, we expanded that functionality by also making the recent journal entries block available throughout. So you also put that into group, site, or institution pages. One nice thing that most of you will probably not really see, but is very interesting for everyone who does development work on Mahara, and some of you do have your own developers on site, is the style guide. Because what the style guide does is it shows us what common elements that are being used in Mahara look like, and what a developer should use when they create functionality that uses those elements. So that way we get consistency across buttons, consistency across sidebars, and many other elements, also like tables or navigation items, drop-downs, without somebody needing to know in which part of Mahara these things can actually be found. So they have one-stop shop to look all those things up. And the really cool thing I find is that you can look at the style guide in any theme that is currently the site theme. So you don't just see it what it looks like in the default theme, but you can also, if you're using the ocean theme, see directly what the style looks in ocean and then in modern. And if you have your own theme, you'll also see it directly in your theme, and therefore can get more consistency across everything. So these were but a few of the new Mahara 1604 features. There are a few others, smaller ones, and those that are of interest in particular for system administrators, and some config setting changes. And all of them, as usual, are described in the Mahara user manual at manual.mahara.org, and they can easily be found by following the trail of our bot, or if you want to have a quick overview, you can also go to the index and search for the index entry new in Mahara 1604. And that's it from me. Do you have any questions? And please do feel free to use the mic. Keith made us all presenters. Hi, Jay. Nice seeing you here. I think Jay is new to this group. I think it's first time, Jay, for you to be here at a Mahara user group meeting, right? And please do feel free to use your mic, Jay. But to briefly introduce Jay, Jay is from Birmingham University, so another night owl like Roger from Solent. So thank you very much for coming along today, Jay. Beth asks, with the badge displayer, can you view the metadata from Mahara? Yes. So what you do, Beth, is like elsewhere, you click on the badge, and then it opens up in a pop-up window, and you can view the metadata directly there.
Okay, thanks, Christina. That's a change, right? Because with the previous version, you were just, I don't think we were able to do that. Is that correct? Or
in the previous version, we didn't have the Open Badge Displayer plugin. So you had to do a workaround of embedding the actual the actual Mozilla backpack page as an iframe, which is because you have to adjust the iframe. That wasn't quite so good, but now what you would do is simply choose the block under external media and click which public collections you'd like to show. And in the past, we did already have that functionality just as a plugin, so it would need to have been installed separately. And we made some changes to the plugin itself so that you do get a message when no entries can be fetched, so that you know, okay, I have something in the backpack, but nothing, or I don't have an open badge passport. And also the fetching of the entries does take a while. So we do show an intermediate message in the block configuration so that you don't wonder what's happening. Keith wants to know if there are some good example sites using badges. Yes, there is. I can't show you the site itself, Keith, but let me get you the link to a presentation that David Bell did last year at Mahara in New Zealand. Just a second. Because he uses it in a very interesting way in general, namely with a church community here in New Zealand. And his presentation does showcase very nicely what he is doing with it and also how it is being received. He also uses badges quite extensively for his mini MOOCs, so very short open online courses. Here you go. And so that is not in an academic setting, but in a more community setting. Incidentally, tomorrow US time, there is going to be the ABLE regional conference in Notre Dame, and Dan Hickey and his team, James and Josh, they are going to present on badges as well, including kind of giving a brief survey of what the different e-portfolio systems are doing. So we were interviewed for that, and David also gave some insight on it. That's the only big one I can think of right now, Keith.
Christina?
Yes.
Does the open badges, does that work with the Moodle site? So if a Moodle course issues a badge?
What you would need to do, Troy, is export that badge to the Mozilla backpack first, and then you can create a collection, a public collection in your Mozilla backpack, and pull that into your Mahara instance. Let me point you to the description on how to do that. And how you can do that is described in the user manual here. So instead of just being able to pull the badges in one by one, what you would need to do with this plugin, how it's been developed, was that you do create a public collection first, and then those public collections will be displayed in your block configuration, and that's how you can get to that's how you can easily say which badges you want to display. So in this case, for example, I had take 3 collections. One was just open badges, generic one. One was for ABLE, and the other one was for Mahara presentations. That's how you can easily group them without having to take 20 or 30 or 40 badges. Oh, thank you for the link, Roger. That's fantastic. Definitely we'll have a look at that.
Yeah,
Presentations.
I can probably add to that. So that was only last month, I think, up at the other university in Southampton. So it was a really good event. There's a lot of stuff on there about badges and micro-credentials. So it's worth having a look through, quite a lot of presentations. One that I'd highlight out of that was the one that was towards the end of the day. It was from someone called Roisin Cassidy at York St John University. And the interesting thing they were doing was they'd aligned the badges for sort of CPD activities to what's called the UK Professional Standards, which is a higher education standard. So they kind of tried to align them to professional standards, and they'd also, for student badges, they'd got employers to sort of validate or support the badges. So they could be all sorts of different things, but that gave them employer value. So if you're looking at it for your students, if you've got local employers to say, I don't know what the skill is you're trying to get the students to do, but for skills and student sort of CPD, as it were, a non-academic award, it was a quite good way to have them sort of, with a sort of sponsorship from a business or an organisation. And the organisations like that as well, because obviously they're getting their name on it as well. So it's quite a good tie-up. But it's worth having a look at that presentation from Roisin Cassidy. Give you an idea what they're doing. I was also going to answer, was it George? I can't remember who asked the question about having Moodle and Mahara badges tied together. The way we've done it at the moment is through using the Mozilla Backpack as the glue. So I had a presentation, I was just looking for it, I can't find it straight away, but I had a presentation about how it worked. But we had, so let me think, Mozilla Backpack was connected to Moodle and then also connected to Mahara through the displayer plugin, the old display plugin that you could download. And that way anything that was issued out of Moodle could be pushed to the backpack. In the backpack it could be organised into collections of badges, and those collections of badges could then be displayed back in Mahara or in Moodle or in LinkedIn or somewhere else, you know. So that worked quite neatly, and I see Jay's done the same sort of thing. So that kind of works quite neatly, and I did have a diagram somewhere, but I can't find it. But there you go, I'll be quiet.
Are there any other questions for Christina? Okay, if not, we could go back to our agenda. Okay, are you able to do that for us, Keith? Thanks so much.
I think the second point is also mine, for giving a brief update on the able field guide for ePortfolio. And at the moment, I'd just like to say that it's still underway. The editors are furiously looking at it and editing everything, looking at all the chapters. And to my knowledge, at the moment, it looks like October or November that this field guide is going to be published. So it's unfortunately still a ways away, and we can't really tell you too much about it because it is a publication. So we do need to stick to that. But the plan really is to have the field guide, which is very short chapters on individual aspects of ePortfolio work, more like an executive summary for university senior executives, and it's supposed to be pitched at a very high level, and not going into too much detail, but where the detail can come in is in case studies and examples that are then being displayed in resource pages. We are still collecting examples and still looking into how best to make them available. And our ideal, of course, is that we link out to the examples that are elsewhere online, so that people can explore those websites more and learn more about the organizations as well. So I'm involved in the employability chapter, and therefore we are still looking at some more examples. And if you can think of others, please do let me know. We haven't really made or created a cutoff date because we are still discussing some things with the editors. But if there are interesting things that you'd like to share, please let me know, because at least we can also integrate those then at some point in the newsletter, which is coming up, the next one in July, and the deadline for it is the 27th of June. So if you want to start thinking about what to write there, you can also do that and send it through at any time. Thank you.
If there aren't any other questions for Christina, I think we can move on to the next agenda item, which also concerns ABLE. So I just wanted to officially announce to this group that PACE will be hosting the 2017 regional conference. It's still in the initial planning stages with Trent and ABLE, but we're just excited about this opportunity and we wanted to share the news with this group. It's tentatively scheduled right now for March 2nd to March 3rd. And we wanted to today, just in addition to announcing it and giving this group early notice, we also just wanted to open the floor to discuss possible topics for a mug panel at the event, to see if there's different things that we want to discuss there. So we wanted to, for anyone that's interested and thinks that they might be able to attend virtually or in person, what kind of topics or things that you would want to discuss at that type of a panel. So I'm just going to open it to anybody who wants to jump in here. And I'll take down some good ideas so we have a little bit of a record of this. But yeah, if there's stuff that people are eager to discuss, jump on in. I don't know if you had any topics in mind, Beth, at the moment, but we did want to hear from the group.
If we try to do something live or record something, as we've done in the past with the Boston conferences, you know, I feel like MUG has been integral in our ePortfolio implementation, especially in the early days, but even in the ongoing days of the issues we faced, sharing our successes, learning from all of you, sharing ideas. So I definitely wanted to include all of you in that. And we're also going to be looking for a small group of representatives from institutions to be on a planning committee. We don't quite have all the details of that yet, but you know, definitely consider all of you invited. And if some of you would like to take on a larger role in the conference preparation, you know, please let Heather or me know about that. So for now, just save the date, and I guess more information should be coming soon. I'm sorry,
Great.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Keith from Purchase. No definite ideas yet, but just a couple of thoughts. We have a new director of academic programs for our liberal studies and continuing ed division coming in shortly. And while she has a background in academics, you know, faculty member and so forth, for the last year and a half or 2 years, she's been at TaskStream. So is already familiar with the portfolio approach, and so we might be collaborating to do something, to raise the visibility of our Mahara system. That may jumpstart some new portfolio usage next year. The other thing in terms of planning conferences and so forth, the Center for Professional Development Group at SUNY has just had a proposal accepted for SUNY to host the 2017 Pod Network New Faculty Developers Institute. So that will also be taking place next spring, 2017, in Saratoga Springs. About maybe the.
Do you guys have dates for that yet?
What?
Do you guys have dates for that yet?
We do, but I don't have them off the top of my head. But they may be close in terms of timing. So maybe there's something close, some kind of collaboration between ePortfolio and experiential learning on the one hand, and New Faculty Developer Institute on the other hand, that might open up some opportunities. I'm not sure yet. I'd have to think that through.
We could definitely discuss maybe doing some cross promotion at the events, just to maybe at whichever one comes afterwards, maybe discussing some of going into more depth on topics discussed there. But yeah, when you have the exact dates, let me know so that we're at least aware of them, and hopefully we won't be completely overlapping.
Right.
But we definitely keep me in the loop with that, and maybe we can talk about some cross promotional efforts, and also try to stay out of each other's way.
Okay, yeah,
Are
thank
most
you.
of the attendees secondary ed, higher ed? What is the makeup of most of the attendees?
I think the target for ABLE tends to be more higher ed, though K-12 and even corporate sponsors and participants, are invited as well. But I think the majority tend to be higher education. And ABLE has not done one in the New York City area yet, so we're cautiously optimistic that it will be a good venue and good time of year to get a nice crowd of people. Not everyone can make the trip to Boston for the big conference, and this will give some folks an opportunity who aren't necessarily able to go to that one, or give them another chance to interact and be engaged and perhaps present, even if they do attend the
Are you getting Brett Einon from LaGuardia with his community of ePortfolio folks?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Yep, we're in talks with him and him as well as Laura Gambino and others.
Right.
And in fact, Brett and Laura, they have a book coming out this fall called The High Impact ePortfolio Practice, a catalyst for student, faculty, and institutional learning. And they're actually going to mention Pace's work on the grant that we worked on with them and 30 other institutions, and so there'll be some Mahara references in there as well. So I was just signing off on some permissions for photographs and images for that publication. So it's nicely timed with the field guide, the publication, and just the successes across our institutions as ePortfolio becomes more of a mature field and one with more of a body of research behind it. So it should be an exciting time, and I really welcome all of your participation in the planning and hopefully presenting as well. We're definitely going to need to call on you for topics, and hopefully you can join us in person or virtually or in some way.
Good for you for doing this. This is very exciting.
Thanks. It'll be a lot of work too, but hopefully, as Roger, I see Roger's still in recovery, and Christine, I know a number of you host these things, and it's a lot of work to go into planning 1 or 2 days. So.
I want to see a conversation that I had. Go to Outlook, and the left side is conversation.
Great. So if there's nothing else about that, I think we can move on to the next topic.
Yes, so we wanted to possibly discuss an on-site MUG meeting over the summer because Christina is going to be in the New York area. I don't know if other users might be as well, but we wanted to try and schedule something in person. So if there are, Christina, refresh my memory, which dates or around when were you thinking of visiting in the summer? Sometime in August, right?
Yes, so it would be right the week after the ABLE conference. This year ABLE is from the 1st to the 4th of August, so it'll be the week of the 8th that I'm thinking of being in New York. Sorry, I wrote the 9th, but it should be the 8th.
You said the week of the
I'll
8th,
be
right?
Yes, so right the week after the ABLE conference.
Okay, so we would, I don't know what everybody else feels. I know this is an international group, but for those that are in the area, potentially for an on-site meeting, one of the New York area schools, potentially on August 8th or 9th. Is that, Christina, is that what you were thinking?
9th might be better, so Tuesday. In case I'm making a stop from Boston to New York visiting a Mahara user.
Okay. I guess we just wanted to throw that out there.
Last year we had it on last year we had it on a Friday, so I'm not sure which day would work better because oftentimes, at least in New Zealand, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are the high meeting days. So that it's difficult for people to put something else in their travel. But you know your calendars better over the summer.
Speaking for me, the August 9th works fine. I don't know how it works for Keith or George or Christina, if there's others in the New York area who you might want to include on this. We'd certainly be happy to host at Pace, but of course,
because we have NYIT and Pret and some others, so we can definitely make a wider call to them and check on the dates.
Okay. That sounds good. So I guess we just wanted to throw that out there for now. Maybe I've put a tentative hold on August 9th. And Christina, it'd be great if some of the other schools like NYIT that we haven't, done anything on there, it'd be great to involve them. So maybe we can have another email conversation about that with that group, with the group of locals. So I just wanted to send that idea out to this group. Begin planning.
Sounds fantastic.
Okay, great.
Thanks for putting it out.
I'm sorry? Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
I was just going to put Jay on the spot here. I know she looks horrified down the camera, but I sort of forwarded this meeting on to Jay because she passed around something on Twitter the other day. It was the Doobly Wheel that I can't remember what it's called now, but I didn't know if you wanted to share your learning wheel and then ask for contributions. So it seemed like an ideal, an opportune time.
Jay, you have full presenter privileges, so you can also share your desktop if you wanted to. Please just turn your microphone on. I don't see that it is unmuted.
Can you hear me now? Oh, okay. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay, okay. I was introduced to the learning wheel, which is, I'll send you a link in a moment. Let's have a look. I'll send you a link now. And there's quite a few different learning wheels. It's all new to me, so I'm just starting to get my head around it. And I noticed that there was something called a Mahara learning wheel, which was empty. So I hijacked it and contacted, I think her name's Deborah Miller, and sent a few suggestions forward as to some ideas as to how the learning wheel could be developed. And I think because I was probably the first person to forward the information to her, she's made me the captain. So I'm the captain of the learning wheel. So I steer the ship, so to speak. And what I've sent you there is, it's a link to Google Docs. And if anyone would like to have a look and see if they have any ideas as to how the learning wheel can be developed. Now, it's quite simple. It has 4 key areas. One of them is to do with assessment. So how you use Mahara for assessment reasons. One of them is for collaboration. One of them is for communication. And the other one, let me just check, because I can't remember. And the other one is learning content. So if you have different ideas, you literally tap on the link. You can go into the Google Docs and literally just type in your suggestions. Keep them short and sweet, and then they will be sent back to Deb Miller, and she will accredit everyone that's been involved. So you get your name sort of printed onto the learning wheel, and then I can share it around to lots of different other people, and hopefully they can utilise it in the way that they see fit. Let me see if I can just get a quick link and I'll send it to you, and hopefully it'll make a little bit more sense. I'll show you a completed learning wheel so that you can see what it looks like. And basically, once it's developed, it could be something that anyone can have access to, and you can share it with universities, higher education, and you can share it with teachers and module leaders, lecturers, and it gives them ideas as to how they can use Mahara in different ways. Because sometimes people think that the only thing you can do with Mahara is make a page, or the only thing you can do is put sort of content in it. But this is to try and get people to use it more innovatively, in a collaborative way as well. So I'll see if I can quickly find a link and show you exactly what one will look like, or what a completed one looks like, and then that'll hopefully give you a little bit more of an insight into how it can be used. Does that sound okay? Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'll get that, and I'll send you something now so that you can have a little look at it. And then the link that I've sent, anyone can click on that, and that will take you into a Google Word document, and type your ideas in, type your suggestions in, and then I'll get all of those sent off to Deborah. And as soon as that's developed, I'll be able to send it back to you so that you can see what the completed thing will look like, and you will have your university accredited to it as well.
That's a really fabulous idea, Jay. Thank you for starting that, because I think it's a nice update to the Mahara Beginner's Guide, and also to the Mahara Cookbook from many years ago, where we've had the examples of how it can be used, especially in Ellen Murphy's book. how it can be used in 52 or 53 different ways, but the beginner's guide also showcases certain scenarios. And now we'll have it crowdsourced, and everybody can contribute to it, and it can also be updated more easily than a book. So that's really great. And what we should definitely also look into once we have one wheel or multiple wheels done, Jay, is that we also incorporate that in the user manual and make it part of that, so that we can also link to those examples so people can find them easily as well.
Okay, that sounds really good.
Keep me in the loop with what is being done. That would be great.
Thank you.
If Jay's finished, I had one other item, and I didn't know if it was of interest. I didn't quite know if I'd actually get here this afternoon, this evening, or this morning. Was about some quick look at the Mahara Moodle assignment plugin, which was sort of heavily updated last year, I think it was. It was released, or maybe even the year before now. But if anyone's interested in that, I can quickly show you it. But if you don't use Mahara and Moodle together and you're not interested, then I won't show you it. Does that make sense? I have a yes from Canada. So I'll be quite brief. I'll just see if I can share my screen and then go through. Desktop. Let's have a look. I'm not sure how this is going to work. I'm actually on a Windows 10 tablet, which is the bizarrest thing to use with this. But give me one moment. I'll try and share my screen. See if I can get this.
You do see a spinning icon, Roger, so you're good on your way, I hope. Yes, there it is.
Okay. Okay, so just really quickly, for those who know Moodle, there's the standard Moodle assignment plugin that's built into Moodle. Let me just, I could open a new window up here. There's a plugin that it's kind of two-part plugin. There's a single sign-on integration which you need to plug in, and it's called Mahoodle, that part of it. And then there's an additional assignment plugin, and I won't talk through the technicals, but if I go and add an assignment like you would normally, which is standard Moodle assignment, what it actually gives you in practice is an additional option which we call our Mahara My Portfolio, so you should be able to see that there. So along with file submissions or online text, we've also got a separate video plugin that's something else. There's a Mahara one there, and you'll notice that it's got options down here to select your Mahara site. If you've got multiple sites, we've only got one. So the way it works is basically the instructor sets up the assignment as you would a normal Moodle assignment. There's some other options here for feedback. One of the really key things with it is this option to lock submitted pages. Now what that means is when a student submits their page to you, and I'll go through how the student submits it in a moment, when the student submits their page to Moodle will then automatically lock either that Mahara page or Mahara collection, so the student cannot continue to edit it. That makes our academic services, our registry people, very happy because they know that the student can edit the work after it's been submitted. There were a few questions about Mahara pages that had, say, imported blogs or feeds from RSS feeds, other things that could be edited, but often they're dated anyway. So if they've got a YouTube video embedded, then that would have a date of upload on it. So they're not too worried about that. Our previous method was very, very clunky because the students had to download the the Mahara portfolio from Mahara, zip it up, take the zip, upload it to Moodle. Then the instructor had to unzip that, try and look at it without the theme, etc. Going back before CSS export. It was very, very clunky and didn't work. Our experience with this is that the instructors absolutely love it, and we're right in the middle of assessment submission period for at the moment. So we've got quite a lot of students submitting assessments, and the amount of support we've had to give it this year is almost zero. It just works, which is fantastic. So that's the instructor settings. So normal, give the assignment a name, give it a description, set some dates on it, so the late submission date there as well, so if you want to do that. It takes advantage of all the Moodle tools, so you can give individual extensions, you know, etc., grading, so you can set Moodle grading on it, and whether you use, you know, whatever grading scale, we use a specific Solent grading scale, all of those tools are there. Then if I just go and look at from the student point of view, student's portfolio. So basically they click through and see the live portfolio as it stands on Mahara. There are extra options once it's submitted, which then they can unlock it, so they can give it back if it's a draft assessment or so on. So if it's been locked, they can then unlock it and pass it back to the student, and the student can carry on editing it. What we do, if I just come out of screen sharing, because that's much I have to show you a few comments there. You get out of sharing. What we do have is what we do ask students to do. Sometimes they've submitted their work and then it's maybe related to their employment or something, and they want to keep it and carry on editing it. That's absolutely fine, because they can just make a copy of the page or a copy of the collection and a copy of pages and carry on doing that, because the page that they've submitted is secure and locked, and people can mark it. External examiners can be given permissions through Moodle to view it. So it's a reasonably sort of smooth process for everyone, and Moodle controls all the access and all the permissions and all the grading and everything else, and Mahara gets on with being a e-portfolio tool. Jay said there it works very well as well. I'm just quickly looking at the questions. You set the feedback settings, the feedback can go into the gradebook and onto the comments page in the... no, there's... so you can put feedback in the portfolio page in Mahara. You can put feedback into Moodle, either text or upload a file, or as one of our lecturers has been doing, actually recording MP3s and uploading the MP3 to Moodle, because they talk through the portfolio that they see on screen. And they've been trying that out, but it doesn't sit in both places, if that makes sense. However, when the student goes back to Moodle after everything's been marked and the marks have been released, big screen, what's going on there? Something's gone wrong. Oh, My mouse has gone funny. Once the student goes back into Moodle and clicks on the assignment link in Moodle or on the Moodle gradebook, they will then see the comments just as they would with any other Moodle assignment. So, and they can still click the link and go back to their portfolio to see which portfolio was marked. I don't know if Jay wanted to step in there because you said you've got some experience as well with this.
Oh, my screen's gone funny. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Right, I'll try and connect to my screen because I've not done this before, and I'll see if I can. I don't know what that is. I'll see if I can show you.
We can see your screen.
Can you see that? You can?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, I'll talk through what this is then. So we use the submission portal formatively for all of our students to create a Mahara page and then submit to their personal tutor. So each personal tutor has a Moodle course, and this is mine. So when you scroll down, you can see that students have options to submit at various points. So for example, our first year students in year one, the very first page they submit is sent here. So I'll just see if I can show you what they actually submit. Okay, so here's, let's pick one for you. Of course, I'm going to try and pick a really good student. Okay, I'll pick Roxanne, and actually this student won the Student Nursing Times Awards that was hosted in London last week. She won for child, so she's an ideal student to show you. So she submitted her page through Moodle, and it linked into Mahara so she could see all of her pages, and she selected the one that she wanted to show me. And as Roger said, just here you can actually click onto the link and it should take you to a copy of the student's page. And because it's all formative for our students, so it's very much about what their goals are, what their interests are, any particular weaknesses that they identify that they have, and what their strengths are. And you can see that Roxanne's done quite a few pages which she's enabled me to have access to. So I read through this page and I make and give her some feedback. And the feedback that I actually give her is given to her via Moodle. Let me just see if I can get back. Yeah, okay. So when I want to leave a feedback, I actually come back to Moodle and I click on the edit button here and I can grade. It then opens up another window and I get the opportunity to grade all our students, regardless of how good their page is. We just tend to give them a grade of satisfactory, and that's because we don't want them to be too concerned with the grade. We want them to focus on the actual feedback that we give them. So I've given Roxanne some feedback here. I've talked about time management because that was one of the issues that she was concerned about, and I've provided her with some links there to hopefully help her. So when I've put all the feedback in and saved these changes, then as Roger's already mentioned, Roxanne sees this graded information in her grade book and it's just visible here in the bottom. Does that help?
Fantastic, Jay. Thank you for having an instant demo there. That was my plan, but I didn't get here until exactly 7 o'clock. I was completely unprepared tonight. I said I might do it, so thanks. That's brilliant. That's a really good example.
Thank you. You're welcome, no problem. I've lost my screen actually. I can't seem to get back to you. I'm not sure what I need to click on next. Oh, stop sharing. That would help. There we go. Okay. Hi.
So I think Unless there's other items, I have to run to another meeting, but if there are other items that anyone wants to discuss about that, was great, Jay. Thank you very much. Keith, and you'll be sending out the recording for this meeting? Awesome. Okay, just well.
Yeah, I think there'll be a few minutes to trim off the front, but other than that, it shouldn't take too long. Sometime in the next 24 hours, probably. I'll get it up on.
Great. I wanted to thank Troy and Chris for joining for the first time today. Thanks, guys. And it sounded like Stina just wanted to say something.
No. Just wanted to thank you, Keith, for dealing with the recording and making it available for everyone.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. If you have topic ideas for a possible mug meeting in April, in 2017, let me know. And if any of you are interested in attending an on-site mug meeting sometime this summer, probably August 9th, let me know as well. Everybody have a great day, okay? See you next time.